Love it.
Podcast number
3. Trois.
That's right.
Yeah, sign language again.
No, that was what was it back in the day? 3, 2, 1.
No, phone's for you, weren't it?
No, before you're too young to remember it.
No.
Dusty Bin, 3, 2, 1.
No, not a Scooby Road.
Oh, bloody hell. I was making me feel old there, Josh.
I'm sorry.
What was it called? Please, in the comments, help me.
Yeah.
Dusty Bin, the TV pro used to go 3, 2, 1.
No,
With his hand. Oh, you're too young to know
phone's
stuff.
for you.
Other people will know what I'm going on about. So, episode number 3. I'm not going to do the 3, 2, 1. Episode number 3. Me and Josh in the room. Here we go. So, what's on for this week then? Got a really good guest, a really good friend of mine actually, and someone I have a lot of respect for. Coming in to talk to me today. There's Mr. Ben Pegley, guitarist in the Signatures.
Oh yeah.
So that's going to be good. So we're going to talk about some Northern Soul, the Signatures, and all the things that come with it. So that's good. That's good. So yeah, challenge of the week this week though.
Go on.
Do you know what? I've not really had one.
Jesus.
I know. I was thinking about it this morning. I thought I've not really had any major challenges. I still get all the little bits and pieces, but in terms of major challenges, I've not really had one this week.
We're actually doing our job. It's working. Solved it, mate.
That's the way we want it. No, I've had a pretty easy week. Sound engineers at the weekend were pretty good. Where was we? I can't remember where we were now. We do too many gigs. Can't remember where we were. Oh, we had our own sound engineers with us anyway. So that's always easy for me. That's why we have them. In control of my own sound, and they were all good. So there was no issues there. Only little things really. I mean, literally just 5 minutes ago, you just witnessed it actually. It was really funny. So we're building a new tour bus at the moment. Guy that works in the workshop is building a tour bus. So he's underneath the seat, underneath the van.
Yeah.
Giving me instructions of what to do. This ain't going to happen, Josh. It's really not going to happen, mate. Don't Josh as well. But that was, that's just day-to-day type things that happen.
You know what? I must admit, it was entertaining to watch from afar, though.
Well, people stand again.
Yeah.
Oh, what he fucking wants to do.
It was like Eric and Ernie, like.
Yes, I've had an easy week. It's been. I've had some tough week on some other things, but they're not hearing related. But yeah, I've had a pretty plain sailing week this week.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
All that means is next week it's going to be double hard, isn't it?
Well, we've got Manchester tonight. Actually, we're going to Manchester tonight for a gig with the Signatures. Obviously, these are recorded 2 to 3 weeks behind, so you're not going to know about the Manchester gig until 3 weeks' time. We were already done it. So don't we're coming to the Manchester gig. What are we gonna do? So no, we had an easy week. A ride-free, easy week.
That's what we like to hear.
That's good. So, we'll have to get on to my next guest. So, before he gets in the room, let's have a little talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Right. Spill the tea now, yeah?
So, Ben Pegley, guitarist of the Signatures. I've known Ben for, must be getting on 30 years now.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we'll probably talk about this a bit in the podcast anyway, but I used to play in a band with him when I was living up in Suffolk, which is where I met him. And then just pure coincidence, we connected on Facebook, and then Signatures were looking for a guitarist, and I just connected with Ben, and it was like Ben had put a post out on his Facebook, kind of going like, "Need to get back out playing live, like looking for a band," and I was like, "Need to look for a guitarist," and
stars aligned.
I'll probably say this when he's in the room, but let's say when he's not in the room.
Yeah.
Ben is absolutely a phenomenal guitarist.
Unreal.
Right?
He is unreal.
Technically, he's one of the best people, one of the best guitarists that I know in terms of technical ability. There's some others that I know that have got amazing feel. I'm not saying Ben hasn't, but got real deep, soul connection and a real good sort of vibe and feel. But in terms of technical playing, all that shit, I don't think you get any better than Ben, to be honest with you.
And the fact that he can do that in like soul songs where it shouldn't necessarily work, him shredding, and it does.
But then that's kind of what the Signatures, isn't it? We always do it in our own way, our own signature style, But we're probably going to talk about this in a bit, but when we brought Ben on board, because Ben's like heavy metal boots, gem guitar, everyone was a bit like, he's not very Northern Soul, is he?
No.
As it turns out, we probably will talk about this, his sister was writing a Northern Soul. His sister was a member of Suffolk Scooter Club, and she was really involved in sort of the scooter scene and whatever else back in the day. But she was writing to Northern Soul. So as soon as I said to him Northern Soul, growing up with it.
He was all
I was like, oh yeah, I love Northern Soul. My sister used to play it all the time. He was right into it. So he did know about it. He does enjoy it and likes the music. But what's to say that you got to wear a Fred Perry and a pair of
course,
to be Northern Soul. You know, I really hate that cliche towards it, which is one of the reasons why you know he's an amazing guitarist.
Yeah,
and that's what we needed.
He don't look out of place or anything, put it that way.
We did I remember a lot of comments over the years, so we're probably going to talk about this with Ben, so let's not go into too much. But yeah, he's an amazing guy. I have a total respect for Ben. He really is a nice guy, and let's welcome him on.
Let's introduce.
Welcome to the show, Ben.
Hey!
Thank you very much.
I'm going to be forward. There's so much to talk about. When I sat down last night with a bit of paper, and I thought there's actually quite a lot to talk about here. Quite a lot of information.
There's a lot of tea to spill.
Yeah, there's some stories here.
No pressure. No.
Well, I say, me and Ben have known each other nearly 30 years. Got to be nearly 30 years.
Yeah. Should make you feel old. That's older than I've been around.
No, we've already had the 3-2-1 thing. What was the name of the show where I used to go 3-2-1?
3-2-1.
No, it wasn't called 3-2-1. What was it called? With Dusty Bin?
Yeah, it was called 3-2-1.
No, it wasn't.
It was.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
With Dusty Bin?
Yeah.
It wasn't called 3-2-1.
Yeah, it was.
Hot debate.
Right, we're going to have a
It's
search.
got to go out in the comments.
He's going to Google it now. With Dusty Bin, I can't remember his name.
Ted Thingy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The name of the show
Impossible
was
bloody
3-2-1.
clues. Like no one could ever work it out.
He used to go like 3-2-1.
Yeah. Hang on.
It wasn't called 3-2-1.
No.
It wasn't Bullseye.
I'm gonna.
We've got to find it out now.
What was it called? There'd be people sitting at home there going, blah, blah, blah.
It's this. Come on.
It wasn't. I bet a tenner it wasn't 3-2-1.
3-2-1. British television show.
No.
Ted Rogers.
You just lost the tenner. What's that? A couple sausage rolls and a steak, mate?
I thought for a minute I was going. Yeah, it's called 3-2-1.
Yeah.
I'll never remember it being called 3-2-1.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he went 3-2-1.
Yeah.
It
all makes
it kind of makes sense now,
sense.
doesn't it? I just lost the tenner.
Yeah.
If I just kept quiet for a split few seconds before
They were going to put it in the comments. They were going to. It was there.
Oh, God, never mind. Moving on. Anyway,
Hello.
let's go on the hearing first.
Alright.
I've got quite a few questions. There's too many questions you could ask me.
Okay.
Alright, and we're on a time restraint though because we've got to be in the tour bus in an hour and a half.
That's
So
right.
that's as much time as we have for today, which is perfect. So, hearing. Your hearing.
Yep.
Alright? Your hearing's pretty good.
Yep.
I would say.
Mhm.
Yeah? But I know you don't wear any hearing protection. And we've gigged together for like 9 years. 9 years? Something like that.
10 this year, isn't it?
10 years this year.
Wow.
That's a lot of gigs. If we just took 40, 50 gigs a year, that's like a lot of gigs.
Yeah.
Alright? I've never seen you wearing any hearing protection.
Very rarely. Yeah.
Very rarely. I've never seen you wear it. When did you wear it then?
Well, I've got on my keys. I've got a little, pot with a little setting of and very, very occasionally I've put them in.
Why just occasionally then? Do you not think it's something that you need to... With the amount of gigs we do and the fucking volume you play at...
Yeah, I have to tell me about it.
Get off!
When I take pictures of you, I'm like, oh, you're nearly as bad as Dave.
We're not going to go into that conversation in the podcast. It's a 9-year battle discussion we've always had. And standing joke, but we won't go into that. I shouldn't have said it actually.
No.
But bear in mind you play at a really loud volume. Well, no, seriously, do you not think it's... Because we had this conversation with Darren last week, didn't we? Darren did the podcast with us last week, and we were talking about hearing protection, how many musicians don't wear it still, and how many musicians should really wear it. And it's something that I really think that musicians should be wearing. Horn sections always seem to wear it for some reason. I know they wear in-ears now, we had that conversation last week, but you don't wear in-ears, you have a mono, alright?
Old school.
Old school.
And never see you wearing any hearing protection, so what's the theory behind that?
It's mainly to do. Well, it's as irresponsible as it might be. It's mainly to do with. I can't stand the top end loss that you get with a set of your average set of hearing.
Trust me,
aids.
you'll know about it if you.
Well,
live in
yeah, exactly.
This is the trouble. Is that I think that is if I've got any loss at all going on already, that's where it'll be. It'll be on the high end.
When was the last time you had a hearing test out of interest?
Long time ago. Long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you do studio work as well. Well, not so much now, but you still do as a studio engineer, so your ears are fairly important to you, as they are for anyone. But like in that sort of profession, what else your ears are your main kind of your main tools, really.
Yeah. So I mean, mostly, see, from my point of view, we don't tend to play at like the sort of volumes that I used to play at. So I kind of feel like it's a kind of, it's not as terrible as it used to be. And also now that we have
These are the days when they used to turn up with a Marshall stack.
So
really, and 11.
yeah, so we had and of course if I was like, if we don't have a percussionist and I'm closer to you, so I'm closer to your overheads in particular, that can be, you know, but normally now Pab's in between us, and so I'm not so close to your drums that you know, and you're not a particularly loud drummer either.
No.
You know,
Well, I don't know. I can't hear it.
yeah.
So often
I can't hear that now.
I tell you what, the first time I depped the show with Darren Bazzoni, well, with Darren's cousin, Michael Bazzoni, you know, I was right next to him, and the first thing I noticed about playing that was it was so much bigger drum sound. You know, it's just big rock type sound.
Yeah.
Much more. Well, you know. So occasionally I have. I mean, we've done, but normally when I've used those ear defenders, it's been because the monitor, the wedge, has been so loud, and I've been mid gig, and I have to just step away from it or whatever. You know, I've sometimes literally gone off the stage. Because I just have to get out of the way of the fucking monitor. It's not because of my amp or anything like that or anything else on the stage. It's the monitor wedge too loud.
Really?
And
So you do carry them with you?
Yeah.
You just wear them when you feel you need
when
to.
when I feel the sound pressure's getting a bit, that's a bit much. You know,
Which is having a grand total of.
Yeah. Well, it's the last time I can remember having to put them in was probably when we were out with Georgia one time, and she, you know, some singers, like Roy Orbison was famous for this. He'd never give you the beans until the red light was on, right? So that when they were setting the levels, right, give us a level, you know, right, and he'd never give you what he's actually going to give you.
Yeah.
George was a bit like that, and so she's sound checking. I think, yeah, that's fine. And then we came to the song, and she just belts it out, and I'm like, oh my god!
She's got a powerful vocal.
Yeah, she's got a lot of power, and I literally, because we were by that time mid song, mid gig, I just had to step away and you know, get out of
The wall.
because they're very, you know, as soon as you get off axis, you lose that kind of intensity quite a bit.
Would you ever then supplement it with the in-ears? Because obviously in-ears you're actually... No, but what I'm saying is, you know, the in-ears where you can actually hear like what's coming through. Surely you would lose the top end then, or do you still feel you do?
Well, the trouble then is that you get into the conversation about how you feel about in-ear monitoring systems, which I don't really...
That was the next point I was going to make, because obviously, you know, most of the band, in fact, 80% of the band have switched to in-ear monitors. I have, and Steph was the first one I was using them, and then slowly we've all sort of switched. And because like we were getting to gigs, certainly when it was smaller stages, I mean, we're fortunate now that we're playing bigger stages, so that makes it easier. But when we were first going, we'd turn up to gigs and we'd want like 8-9 monitors.
Really?
In frequencies crossing across the stage with 10 people on the sound engineers pulling their hair out. You know, that was like, it was not happening. And as we moved into the theatre show thing, that's when we kind of, you know, dropped the monitor type thing and all this gone to ears.
Because surely that's going to affect your outward sound as well then.
What's that?
Like, if you've got all these monitors going on, surely that's going to affect your outward sound as well.
What, into the front of the house?
Yeah.
Not really, no.
No?
Stage. But the problem we had was because there was so many frequencies flying around between monitors and whatever else, feedback was an issue, and sound engineers were just like, can't control what's going on the stage, you know, people wanted more volume, and it was all just, it was a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
A mess on the stage.
Well, I suppose that's the beauty of in-ears, like the monitors.
I love my in-ears. Since I switched to them, I wish I'd done it years ago, to be honest with you. The frustrating thing for me, as we've discussed before, is if I haven't got connection to the desk, then I'm not comfortable with it, because then I can't hear. I'm relying totally on what's coming from the sound engineer and monitor mix, and I can't control it. And if that's out, I'm bollocks, because then I take my in-ears out, and then I've got a monitor, you know. I just did that one gig, and I actually took my in-ears out, and the balance on the stage was so nice. It was the best thing I've ever had. I was like, oh, these are all right out.
I love it.
But yeah,
Steph takes one out quite a lot, doesn't he? Well, especially when we're getting into a gig and he wants to hear more of the audience.
I was just going to say that's the downside to in-ears, is you feel very isolated in the sound sometimes, you know. And from the drums, I quite like that sometimes because I can really like push my snare drum up and really because I don't normally when I'm playing without my in-ears in, I don't really hear a lot of my ghost notes.
No.
When I got my in-ears in and I push the snare drum up, I can hear my ghost notes, you know. And that makes a big difference to you when you're kind of getting into it, you know. I can actually hear
especially
what
when you're trying to go
play, rather
through.
than just hearing the snare on the 2 or the 4. I can actually hear the ghost notes, and that makes me play a lot better.
See, I've noticed quite a lot recently. You've had to ask them to take the noise gate levels down because you're not getting on the kick drum quite a lot. Yeah. You know, because you're not getting those little soft little in between, and they just don't trigger the noise gate to open, and so they're not coming through, and you can hear it when he's doing a full, strike on the kick drum. That opens the gate, and so the threshold's too high.
Yeah.
That's Joe. Joe tends to gate the drums.
Yeah.
A bit too much. Really gates them too much. And you just say, we do the sound check. When you're sitting there just go bass drum, it's fine. You start sound checking things.
Doing
when
it
I'm
properly.
just ghosting some bits and pieces, all of a sudden I can't hear the bass drum. It's not the gates.
Gates closing. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, I suppose for you, because the drums, create such a lot of vibration and you can feel that you're playing the drums, maybe you get a lot of that sort of, when you've got your in-ear system as well, you still get that physical vibration.
Well, I always have Mooty's. Mooty always tries to put his amp on my drum riser.
On your riser.
This is why I'm looking at. We just talked about this last week. Actually, I was talking about the last gig. I'm thinking of getting one of them drum stalls where you.
We were talking about it last podcast.
I can't remember what they're called. But the drum stalls where you can put the bass, like the bass drum, through the stall.
Oh right.
So you get like underneath you, and I quite like the sounds of that, but I don't want to spend the grand on one I don't like it, so I kind of need to borrow one. I kind of need to borrow one to try it because some Porter and Davis, that's what they are, the seats. Someone said to me, mate, you really enjoy it because it gives you that vibration, sort of through the seat. But I always get Mooty's amp as close as possible, either on the drum riser or right next to it, just so I can feel that bit of vibration and whatever else as well.
I can imagine that plays a big role as well, like in the sense of trying to feel the beat and the groove and stuff. If you're feeling the bass with you, then
going back to the audience thing, the only downside on it is you don't get any audience reaction. So usually where I'm sitting, I can't see the audience because I've got all the lights in my face. I can only see the front row, and then I can't see anything beyond, and I don't kind of hear them. So quite often I'll come off stage afterwards. I say, "Shout, is everyone clapping a lot?" Were they into it? And because you're just kind of on your own. But in a way, I kind of like that because it just allows me to just get into the band.
Yeah, get lost.
Just get into the song and what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing through the ears, and just try and I kind of try and listen to it as if I'm sitting in the studio. That's why I've always got my eyes shut. Right. I kind of listen to what's going on as if it's all in the studio and I'm listening back to the track and I can hear what I'm doing on it.
See, I like to be able to hear the audience. But the other thing is, I was going to say was, coming from sort of an older time where your only sound is your amp, and it's behind you, right? So I come from that school where I like to be able to hear my amp behind you. Right? I don't really like hearing it in front, and I don't like the way it sounds in a monitor. Typically, I mean, obviously, if every gig that we do, we've got the best monitors, the best wedges ever. Really high fidelity.
Which quite often we haven't.
Which quite often we haven't, right? So most of the time you think, well, what is the point of having a lovely amp with beautiful speakers that shape a sound really how I like it, and then all I can hear is how it sounds coming through that thing,
which is completely sodomizing it.
So the whole thing for me is about feeling the guitar, feeling it behind me, and all that. It's all kind of part of it. And so doing the in-ear thing, it just doesn't work for me at all. But it's one of those things that I kind of feel is probably an inevitable thing sooner or later.
Well, you know, looking after your ears is an important thing.
Yeah.
Because when you ain't got any, life gets difficult.
Yeah.
Loud, but difficult.
Yeah. And then you'll be taking over our podcast. So
The deaf guitarist.
Yeah. We've got a whole brand, just a deaf band.
All these different signatures.
Imagine a sound check.
Up.
Yeah.
Up.
I don't normally have much of Ben in my ear. In ears, to be honest.
But can you hear him?
I can hear him. It's the only thing. And do you know what? It's funny because we've always laughed and joked for like 9 years. Not always laughed and joked, but because I was like always moaned basically, saying it's fucking loud. Right?
Yeah.
But the interesting thing was, it was really funny after all this moaning all these years or whatever else. When I had my last hearing test, okay, I brought the hearing test into the studio, all right,
Okay.
and I got Darren to do a mix of something based on my hearing
Oh, okay.
chart.
Yeah.
All right, because I thought it'd be interesting to do that.
Yeah.
In fact, we should do it again for the podcast.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I got that because I kind of wanted to like let everyone know this is what I hear.
Yeah.
Because I don't wear obviously don't wear hearing aids, so this is what I hear when I'm on stage. I thought it'd be a good comparison for people to see. And Darren was looking at the chart and he was like, "Fucking hell, mate! Like you this bad?" Yeah. But he was talking. I don't know what different frequencies were, but Darren was like, you know, this hurts and that hurts and this hurts and that hurts. He went,
Was he in
said,
pain?
I bet you hear the guitar really well.
Yeah.
I went, what? He went, I bet you hear the guitar really well. He said, because where your hearing is good, he said, this is the frequency for the guitar.
Oh,
I thought,
really?
maybe that's why I've always accused Ben being loud then.
You know
How
what?
you fucking think I can hear?
I've thought that for years. Because my I don't know whether you know, but my dad used to be a hearing aid audiologist, right? So I kind of grew up with him doing tests on people and all, and how, you know, and that idea of you know the way you'd always go on about the NHS hearing aids just boosting everything, and you can't do that. You've got to find where the loss is and boost that, and all that kind of stuff, right? And so I've thought that for ages. Whenever you said, God, his fucking guitar's really loud, I'm thinking, I know it's not loud. I know it isn't.
You ain't getting away with it.
No,
Because there's many sound engineers who are moaning about it as well.
Because what would happen, right? He'd go, you're so loud, and then inevitably, like the next day there'll be a YouTube video or something. Someone's phone.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no guitar. I can't hear it.
You can't hear it.
There's plenty of YouTube videos that all you can hear is the guitar as well. I'm telling you. This will be something we're never ever going to agree on. Oh God!
But,
all right,
yeah.
Moving on. There's another subject I'm going to talk about here in terms of health and hearing and whatever else. So, for those that don't know, that might be listening, back in 2020, 6th of October 2020, I went down, massive heart attack, cardiac arrest. All the ingredients pumped in my chest, blah 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 blah. I survived, obviously.
See the light.
When I was recovering in hospital, alright, literally hours after I've had the stent put in, I'm laying in hospital and I'm thinking, what the fuck was all that about? Like, if you ever want to feel grateful for something, go through that.
Go through that.
Like dying and coming back makes you feel very
I can
grateful.
imagine.
And it makes you reflect on a few things as well.
Yeah.
But one of the first things I can remember when I was laying in hospital bed, I was thinking, fucking Ben needs to sort his shit out.
Ain't that nice? He's thinking of you on his deathbed.
Well, you know what? It was, because you were walking around at the time. This is October, I had a heart attack, so we'd been on 2020, so it's the year before, 2019, we'd been at Skegness.
Yeah.
Right, when you were so ill backstage due to your high blood pressure, I don't know how you didn't have the heart attack before me. I was taking my blood pressure, before I had my heart attack, I was already taking blood pressure medication. You were refusing to take blood pressure medication.
I was in denial.
Alright, in denial. You were so for people that get high blood pressure, you'll fully understand this, you will not.
No.
You get a certain headache.
Right.
And it's a real certain type of headache that you know it's your blood pressure that is giving you this headache.
Right, okay.
And it's a really bad way to monitor your blood pressure.
How
How bad is my headache?
I was going to say,
How bad is my headache? Oh, blood pressure must be really high because I'm suffering badly. Right? It's at the point where you're going to go into a heart attack.
Yeah.
I know a lot more about this now. You were so ill backstage from your headaches that you must have been on the point of...
Jesus.
It was really unpleasant, and obviously it's a high stress couple of days, isn't it? You know, we had, you know,
slightly.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What makes you high stress?
So obviously, you know, I mean, it's not to get too much off on a tangent, but obviously, you know, any horn players and some, you know, various people in the band that read charts, you know, and so you put a chart in front of them, they read it. You know, those of us who don't really want to play like that or don't know how to read music, one or the other, you know, learn the songs, right? And so, yeah, and if you've got 20 songs to play,
you're going to learn 20
songs,
yeah.
right? You've got to memorise them. Well, we
had 120.
We had 120, right?
Songs?
Yeah.
Over the weekend.
Over a 3-day performance.
We had like 12 different artists that we worked with, more than that, I think.
Yeah.
12.
So,
really?
so I kind of, and we did it 3 times, didn't we? Three times.
Hard weekend.
And
good weekend, but hard weekend.
Yeah. So the stress is very high.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that I already had high blood pressure, and then
just
that weekend
just
you know, and I really started feeling really bad.
Oof.
And yeah.
What was this, halfway through or at the end of it?
This was pretty much before we even started. I mean,
Jesus.
right as we were going into maybe the first night of.
Yeah. Well, what happened up there? We used to get up there on the Wednesday night, and then all day Thursday and all day Friday we'd be in rehearsals with the artists, all right, and that was literally like all day. We'd have a quick lunch break, a quick tea break in the morning, it was all day rehearsal. So you had all that stress for the thing, and not all the rehearsals because you know some of the artists were, you know, getting on a bit. It was quite stressful sometimes rehearsals. Some of them weren't. Some of them, best rehearsal we've ever had in our life.
Easy peasy.
But some of the others, whose names I won't mention, right, were really stressful.
Yeah, hard work.
And we've got like one of them we rehearsed with on the Friday.
Yeah.
We finished the rehearsals on the Friday late afternoon. That's it. No more rehearsal time because the show starts at 12. And like, well, the show said it all. How stressful the rehearsal had been, and not as stressful as the gig was. There's only one time I think I've ever been on stage and not wanted to be there.
Really?
That was that night, and I just wanted the stage to disappear and me to disappear with it. It was really stressful. Yeah. And then so we had performances Friday night, and these performances would be like 11, 12 o'clock at night. All right, we'd finish performance on a Friday night. Saturday afternoon, we were then back in 12 o'clock doing the afternoon shift with another sort of 2-3 artists. All right, then Saturday night, we would be back on stage at like 7:30, 8 o'clock and not finishing at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Sunday afternoon,
rinse and repeat.
Back in for the afternoon session, alright, for another 2 or 3 artists. And then Sunday evening, we'd have another couple of artists. And then the finale. The finale was like, I think the finale was, I mean, we used to come off before the finale, like finished with Tommy Hunt. We used to do, no, it was Dean. We used to do Tommy, then Dean. Both no longer with us, you know.
Yeah.
But we'd come off after that one and bollocks. Absolutely. All the horn section, all their lips split, all his fingers were like cramped.
She was like punched in the face.
You know, I'd be like, all my limbs would be hurting, like you really were.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, no, it was. Honestly, I think the last year, I didn't know how we were going to get out to do the finale, but I think you kind of, when you went out for the finale, it was kind of like,
got that,
you knew you'd done the weekend, you knew you'd kind of survived it, and kind of just got into it, you know. And then afterwards, you used to go and get absolutely wanky.
Oh yeah, standard.
Have a party with buttons.
I bet you were shattered at that point, though.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it was one of the best, you know, the weekends were fantastic. It was, but at the time, it was hard work. It was really hard work, especially for what we were getting paid.
Wait, so why was you the backing bands for all of the
artists? The way they worked it, you know.
Really?
We just had a backing band.
House band kind of thing.
Like the house band. And it was great. You know, that's how we got to know all the original artists.
Of course, yeah.
So it was really, really good. I mean, we weren't the band then that we are now. I think now, if we did it, I think we'd enjoy it a lot more because you know we're much better at doing and learning new tracks than us, and we worked with all the original artists, so we kind of know their sets. Whereas then we had to learn
all these new stuff, 120 songs worth.
Yeah, I mean, I had a process for trying to sort of on the day trying to do it. I would spend some time before, you know, knowing who, you know, let's say you've got, you know, Dean Parrish, you know, you've got his set. And so I'd go through his set and you know, in the hotel room or whatever. And I kind of used to visualise sort of front loading your set into one and just forget about everything else. You know, literally, I'm not worried about Tommy Hunt's set. because I'm not playing that till Sunday or whatever. You know, I'm not even going to think about it. And then literally you'd get to the point where you then come off stage after doing the set with Dean or whatever, and I'd literally visualise just flushing the brain, flushing the toilet, just
we're back onto the new one.
Right, next. Because I literally then we've got 20 minutes before we're on
to do another one. Yeah.
And I just had to do it like that rather than trying to have all 100 plus songs.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, which is obviously overbearing at that point.
But obviously that's why I was like, and that headache that Gav was going about. It's such a weird feeling. It's this crazy softness and this mushiness in you. It's horrible.
And I bet once you start thinking about it, it makes it worse as well.
You really can't describe what it's like to someone. I mean, obviously I used to have it, and then when I found out Ben was having them as well, it was like, it's a really weird. It's not a healthy one. No. It's really not a healthy one.
You sent me a video message. No, you put a video up on.
I said this to you earlier, didn't I? I said, what, you know, as I said earlier, when I remember laying in the hospital thinking, fucking Ben needs to sort his shit out. He's not going to go through this. And I thought, how do we get this through? But I started, and really, a lot of awareness with the hearing thing we're doing now. When I had my heart attack, I really wanted to make everyone aware of like, because I'd ignored it as well. You know, I've been diabolical at taking my tablets. I just wasn't good with it. I kind of just ignored it. You know, I was smoking I wasn't getting any exercise. I was like, it takes years for it to build up for the heart attack, but I've been doing it for years and all. So I really kind of just wanted to shout out, I think, at the time to make people aware. Like, you know, if you're not going to suffer from high blood pressure, don't go through
this.
So when I started, because I was then stuck at home all day long, and I'm not one to sit down and do nothing at home. Watching Sharon go to work in the morning, and I was sitting there in pyjamas watching daytime TV. It's like something I've never done, and I was finding it really frustrating. So I used to go out my little walks, which I was only meant to do like 200 or 300 yards, and I was.
Did you used to do it like that as well?
Yeah. I was doing more, and I was only meant to go out twice a day. I think it was for 200 to 300 yards, and I was determined to get back. Not get back out money because I was worried about my gigging. You know, I was not missing the gigs. And at the time, it was 2020. We thought we'd be gigging sort of March, April time that year. It wasn't until June, but I was like determined I wasn't going to miss any gigs. So I was like, when Sharon was at work, I was going for 3 or 4 walks a day. I was doubling everything up. If it was 300 yards, I was meant to do. I was doing 600 yards. I took the dog out with me, and we were going out for our walks. But I started doing some video things as I was walking around the because I was getting so many messages from people as well, actually constantly asking how I was. I thought, well, if I do a video message, it'll let everyone know that I'm okay. You know, I'm recovering, but I'm doing okay. So but I also did a call out and called him out basically from the video.
That's nice, isn't it? Yeah.
Bloody social media video. By the way, and we like, Ben, sort your shit out. You know, go and see the doctor.
I didn't say that.
No, I know. But
what I actually said was, there's a really good friend of mine that needs to sort his shit out. Right? I think the next thing you know, about a week later, this videos of Ben walking everywhere, going, walking from Sudbury to Milford and walking everywhere.
He inspired you to go on the walks.
Yeah, he did. I thought to myself, you know what, I better go.
But you did go and get medication then? You were
well, what happened is
anti-tablets and doing it.
So I've always been anti-medication.
Yeah.
Right? I've never wanted to take anything for anything. Like, you know, no painkillers, no nothing. I just don't want to take anything. And so I've always kind of been that sort of stoic. You know, I'll just deal with it.
Stubborn bastard.
Yeah. Stoic's one way of phrasing it.
Right, yeah. Right. So no, not going to take. You know, high temperature. Fuck it. No, I'm going to deal with it. Whatever. Right. I had actually gone to the doctors about the hypertension.
Yeah.
And I think at that point I had tried a prescription, and I didn't get on with it. Maybe my feet all swelled up, and so I didn't get on with it. And he tried another one, same thing, and then I just went, "Fuck it, I'm not doing it." And that was then that period where I wasn't doing anything. And so when you put that video out, I was like, "Oh, I'll go back to it." and that's when he prescribed another one. And that was fine.
The first blood pressure tablets I had, I didn't get on with either. You know, I couldn't wake up.
Really?
I'm normally in the morning. I wake up and I'm up.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm quite a cheerful person in the morning. I'm not one of these people that are miserable or anything. I don't need a cup of coffee or this. I'm up and I'm
ready.
I took these blood pressure tablets, couldn't wake up. Sharon literally couldn't wake me up. I was just sleeping. And when I woke up, I was all like, oh, and I was just like, all around like a bit of a zombie. And I realised it was the tablets I was taking. So again, they had to try 2 or 3 different ones to get the ones that suited me. You know?
I didn't know they had different versions of them.
Yeah, I thought they was loads of different types. Yeah. And they do different things. You know, they reduce your blood pressure in different ways. Some of them as well. So it's like, they got you. It's a trial and error thing.
Well, okay.
You know,
see what like you best get on with, basically.
How's your blood pressure now?
Yeah, it's good. It's like, I mean, it's kind of high normal.
High
normal.
Well,
So it's in the green, but it's at the kind of upper edge of that green.
If I'm like 133 or 134 over 83, 84, something like that, that's I mean, I didn't read it yesterday actually, and I was 123 over 82.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at.
That's textbook where you want to be,
Right.
which is pleasing. But I can sometimes be a little bit up from that, but I don't, when it's even at 130, 304, I don't, that's just, I'm comfortable with that.
It's funny how these things have never come. What age did you start worrying about this type of stuff? Because I've never thought about
worrying about it when I nearly died.
Well, obviously, yeah. Too late. I started worrying too late.
I mean, I've had a few scares before then, but I didn't worry about it. It's when I actually nearly died that I started.
I mean, to be fair, that is normally a bit of a kick up the arse.
I need to take this a bit more seriously. But I still, I do take my medication. I check my blood pressure. I obviously exercise. I go through spells of exercise, and I'm on one at the moment. Mainly because when we did the first podcast, I looked like a fat fuck up like hell, and now I've lost a stone, and I'm trying to work to get the rest of it down. But I go through spells where I'm into the exercise, and then I can't be bothered with it, and then I'm into it. Because we're starting to tour through the summer, I'm usually this time of year I'm back on it because like seeing photos.
Yeah, Sharon told me about your push-ups in the morning.
Push-ups?
Yeah. She went, I caught him doing push-ups the other morning.
I'm on it. Once I'm on it, I'm on it. I'm on it now. I've lost nearly a stone now. And I feel like even with me exercising in the morning, like I didn't do it this morning because we've got a show tonight, but yesterday morning I piled into it, and obviously it gets easier and easier the more you're doing it. And yesterday, like I threw my workout, and I was like, I need to start adding a bit more in, because I've got to that point. So it's making me feel better. But it's like everything. Consistency. I've done it for so long. Get fit, get my weight down. Start looking at the photos, thinking, "Oh yeah, I'm happy seeing photos of me look like that." And then cheeseburgers galore come. And by the time we get to the end of the tour, I'm a fat, unfit bastard again.
Oh, well, that's the beauty of having a burger van round the corner. It's just tempting, isn't it? It's always there. It's just always there.
I'm generous.
So in answer to your question, by the way, as well, like you don't think about it when you're young. I never thought about it. I thought I was completely invincible for years.
Same.
Till my, I don't know, like you literally, nothing's too heavy, nothing's, like you just do it.
Yeah.
And if you hurt yourself, you hurt yourself. But
exactly.
I think your age, we all have that attitude.
Yeah.
Nothing. I think when you're at your late 40s, early 50s,
is
that
that?
Start to
so I've got some time, yeah.
But whatever you do now is going to reflect when you get to your 50s. That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of it.
Then one day, right, you're 41 years old or something like that, and you're changing a wheel on a car, and your bicep pops.
Yeah.
And you go, "What's that?
Yeah,
what happened?" And I'm like, because what I'm doing.
I was going to say that sounds like a very specific.
Yeah, but it would be something like that. It'd be something that you've done, a dozen times or whatever. Changing wheel on the car. I know a lot of people don't do things like that anymore, but whatever it is. Yeah. And something will go, and you'll go,
how did that happen?
and then forever more. That's a thing that you're dealing with. You've got a weakened, whatever.
And then I suppose once it's happened, then you've got that sort of back of your mind. It's always there. So you don't want to push too much, because if you push, it could happen again.
Because it does.
Because
that's the reality.
It
is. I mean, even Sharon, I was going back a couple of years ago. She hadn't put a sock in the morning. Couldn't fucking walk for a week. Or back went, and that was it. And I was like, "What did you do?" Put my sock on.
Oh, I don't want to get old.
Your age is when I was your age, nothing mattered.
Nah. Not a care in the world.
Exactly, but I think when I look back now, even with my heart and whatever else, I think, Jesus, I've always stayed fairly fit. Don't get me wrong, but I've always been like, I could always do with losing the stone. It creeps up, and then I'll get it down a little bit. But You know, small so since I met Sharon, actually, I was pretty fit and healthy.
What's that?
13 and a half
What does that
stone.
say? Yeah.
13 and a half stones I met Sharon. I was like proper built up and really having it.
And then it all went
and she
down
started feeding me.
That's what it was. You just didn't know how to cook before that.
Still done that. She'll tell you, when I first met her, she came around and opened my fridge up. All that was in there was a pack of butter and a load of beer. I think some cheese.
That's all you need.
Exactly.
That's all you need. Isn't
Nothing
it?
green in this. It was beer.
Yeah, exactly. It had a green label.
Yeah, she started looking after me, and then it's just been a constant weight battle since then, to be honest with you.
No.
But yeah, you do. I think certainly in your 50s you start noticing more. Is that my phone?
Someone's phone.
Yeah.
Who should dare ring me? Scootery magazine. Go away.
Go away.
Yeah. So God knows what happens when you get into your 60s.
No, don't.
Nice moochie.
I'll worry about that one when I get there, if I'm honest with you.
Anyway,
What?
so blood pressure's all good now. That was
Blood pressure's all
the main
good.
thing.
Well,
I mean, I gave you so with me health wise, I mean, I stopped smoking. My God, 20 years ago. No, yeah, 20 years ago.
really?
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. So that, don't do anything else. So my thing's the junk food. I mean, that's my downfall.
Are you a drinker?
No.
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 Have you ever been a drinker?
No, not really. Well, so I remember getting went to London one day for a weekend with a bunch of Aussies, and I got the most bollocks I've ever been in my life.
Sounds about right.
And I didn't drink for 5 years after that.
You were scarred that bad.
Yeah.
You had a 5-year hiatus.
I remember riding home on the train, and I'm going. And I was like, I was hungover for a fortnight. I was like, this is bad. And I remember my mate that I was with that weekend. I phoned him. I said, mate, I've got my eyes are all black. All around my eyes is black. And he goes, yeah, you've got this thing that your liver's shut down for temporary. I was like, oh right,
Oh, sweet.
Is that serious?
I love how he's saying that all nonchalant.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, it happens.
Yeah. So I didn't drink at all for about 5 years, and then I kind of just so I've never really.
Yeah.
Just an occasional drink. I've ever seen you drunk.
We had a few gin and tonics here and there after
some gigs.
whatever.
If we go back to the hotel, but
Yeah.
I don't think there's any really. Apart from Dave, there's no real drinkers in the signature, is there?
Not really.
We have all had a party at some
Yeah,
time,
of course.
but I don't think there's any real sort of drink apart from Dave who's Beverly Fish. That's another topic.
Bless him. Don't.
That's good. So
Yeah.
signatures, obviously we touched on some signature stuff as well. So it's 10 years this year.
I think it's 2015. Yeah.
Your first gig was, I know, the Big Seven scooter rally.
Yep.
In Kent. I remember that being your first gig. But I can't remember. I'm not good with years anyway. Just 1 year's another year and it's another year.
Yeah.
But you're still here.
And I am. And I got a surprise on that gig. I got 2 surprises on that gig. First surprise was that somehow I got to about a week before the gig without realising that you also did a Motown set.
We did done that.
Right, so we had a Northern Soul set and a Motown set, and I was like going, oh, because Gav hasn't mentioned it, I'm not going to learn it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're not playing it then.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it became clear that we were.
Were.
And I was like, oh right,
I've got a week.
another 15 songs to learn. All right. And the other thing on the night, I remember Jack was on percussion, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he had this cymbal,
Right.
on the stand, high cymbal, and it had no wing nut on it.
Right, yeah.
And he smacked it. I was on right track probably. Smacked it, and the thing just flew off and hit me in the leg.
Oh.
I was like, "Welcome to the signatures."
Yeah, and we're in. Oh.
Jack used to do that quite often, actually.
Yeah.
Cymbals flying everywhere.
Can't he just invest in a wing nut?
I don't know.
Now we invested in new percussion.
You invested in Pablo.
Well, we had a few more
There's a
before
few
Pablo,
others before
but
that,
Pablo's
yeah.
certainly one of the best that we've had,
Oh,
for sure.
don't.
You know,
That says something.
Pablo is a phenomenal percussionist, musician full stop, and he's a
Yeah.
good drummer as well. But he's a top bloke and he's a top.
No, I love Pablo. Do love Pablo.
Yeah, he's fitted in really, really well. Cleo's a great percussionist. Who did we have before Cleo? I can't remember. Oh, we had Billy.
Billy.
See, Billy was a drummer percussionist. Jack was a drummer that played a bit of percussion. There's a difference
Right.
between it.
Yeah,
When we
yeah.
switched to Cleo, it was a percussionist coming in.
Right.
Had a totally different level.
Phil.
Cleo was sort of multi-instrumentalist. You know, who played piano.
Yeah.
And from percussion point, she wasn't a drummer, was she?
No. Yeah, interesting. She wasn't. I think she played a little bit, didn't she?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah.
I don't. But was Pablo's like
Very
percussion
musical
and a drummer.
Yeah.
Big deck for me, which is good because I've got a deck because I've never had a deck before.
The one and only time.
The
so
one
far.
and only time in.
God, how did that go?
years.
Yeah. We haven't decompressed that one.
I'll tell you how it went. It went quick.
Oh, is he quick? Is he?
Yeah.
Like,
We were like thinking, yeah, I was saying to Steph, might have to add a couple of songs in. We're like rocking through them.
Raz.
Honestly, there's a song on the set. There was a time, the Gene Chandler one.
There was a time.
There was a time, and it's super fast 16.
Yeah.
And you know, and the variance in tempo when Gav's on drums is pretty small. You know, it's like it's you know, sometimes it's a bit faster. So, you know, it's pretty much bang on, and it's fine, but it's hard work.
Yeah.
Right? So you know, it's a workout for guitar. Pablo on drums, I was like, fuck here now, and I'm like, I'm thinking my arm is gonna just explode in a minute. You know?
It is a fast song.
Yeah.
My problem with it is normally, I think, if I've got my drum solo before it, right, is when it tends to be a little bit faster because I come out of the drum solo, I'm still pumped up, and then I go, but I'm starting, and still part of the drum solo, and then I look at everyone's like,
slow down.
But not as fast as Pablo.
Yeah, that's it. That's got to be it. Yeah, because I've noticed that because we've played that a lot recently, not after the solo, haven't we?
Yeah.
So it's been a bit more.
Yeah. Oh, this year the drum solo's back in, so you can make it fast. I did last gig. I did get because someone said something about that was a bit. Pablo actually said it. Cheek of it. He actually said to me, "You're a little bit fast on thingers." I'm upset, aren't I?
Hello, Pop. This is Kettle. You're black.
Pop Kettle black. He went, "You're a bit fast." I thought that's because I'm coming out the solo and I'm still pumped up. You know, so I need to try and calm down before I go into it.
Don't.
God, nightmare. So, in your 9 years with the Signatures, most memorable favourite gig?
That's a question.
There's been a lot of really, really nice gigs. You know what? I think it might be a bit cliche to say it, but I think probably the first time we did the bandstand at Eastbourne. You know, because we'd never played a stage like that, or I'd never played a stage like that before, and as a band we hadn't done anything like that. And I remember looking at pictures of it online, thinking that's a lovely looking place, you know. And when we played it, it was just
I think the first time we played it, we don't play anymore. We're too expensive and they wouldn't book us. I did agree to do it at much, you know, a bit more than what we were getting there, but not what we get elsewhere. Just to, you know, cover the band wages and what else, but they wouldn't rise to it. But yeah, it was good. It's one of my favourite.
Yeah,
I think it's all of
that first time we played it, I can remember after the gig, I was sat on the stage, and there's a little sort of riser on the stage, and it sort of built in, and I was sat on the little step there, and I was just very aware of, like, when I walk off now, I'm not coming back. You know, I mean, unless we come back another time, you know, another year or whatever. But all the equipment's off the stage already, and I thought I didn't want to go.
The first time we did it, what I was going to say, the first time that we did it, because it's an open air stage theatre, right? The first year we did it, it was really hot, right? So it was really, really warm.
Really
so that meant the tickets sold really well because everyone was out for the evening.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing with our theatre. It's like the last time we done it, it was pissing it down. And we ended up with like, the only one there. Oh, that's why we're not doing it. They went, ticket sales were a little bit low on your last show. I went, it was absolutely chucking it down with rain. What are you talking about?
Yeah, what do you expect?
You were going to cancel it, and we went, no, let's crack on.
Yeah.
You know, that's. And then they said to me, tickets were too low. That's why we don't do it anymore, because I had that disagreement, I just remembered. But the first year we did it, it was really hot. Yeah, really, really hot. It was August, Eastbourne,
lovely.
Summertime, holiday makers, everyone bought tickets. So we had like 1,300 people there on the first year. It was like sold out, right?
Yeah.
And the atmosphere in there was fantastic. You know, and even I always remember when we were doing "Do I Love You," and we go down to the bass drum bit, and Steph gets everyone singing back. and we could see people in all the hotel windows.
That's right.
Above
the street,
like where the hotels were, hanging out the windows, and you could hear them shouting back.
No way. That's wicked.
That whole atmosphere made it like just amazing.
Because the bandstand's on the seafront, but when you're on the stage, you're facing inland.
Right. Okay.
Right? And so where we are, we can see across the road, can't you, to the hotels? Yeah, we can see them all.
Wow.
In the hotel rooms there. Yay.
I bet you felt well famous at that point, didn't you?
Really the second year we did it was still going. It was still warm. Yeah, tickets are sold well. It was still, great. And what they decided to do is they decided to put the firework display on.
Oh,
so as we got to the last number, right, we were doing Turning My Heartbeat up, so there was still like encore numbers, but we were doing it, and then Steph, in the middle of it, when we did a come down bit, and Steph, as we were talking about, Steph then went, "Mr. Firework Man, hit it!" And all of a sudden, all these fireworks were going off from the beach, so they're behind us, but all we could see was the audience having it large, and then all the windows of the hotels, all you could see was the reflection of all the fireworks going off.
Wicked.
That was amazing. It was really
sounds
good.
Unreal.
Oh, it was a real good experience.
Yeah.
I think that's
What year would that have been then? What year would that have been then?
Oh, Christ.
That would have been 2017.
Yeah, it must have been right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he just joined us, and then maybe just joined. We did the second one with the fireworks. So yeah, it would have been about 17.
That's wicked.
That's wicked. I bet that felt unbelievable.
It is, and it was my favourite venue, favourite gig, the whole band's favourite venue, favourite gig. But the relationship and the venue's just gone like that since, like, big time.
But sort of like what we were saying with Darren last week, 2017 to that, the venues in general have all done that.
I think and I don't want to criticise anyone in the council, but I just think they're way outdated on what they're trying to do with it. They just don't see it. And they were refurbishing it. It was shut for a couple of years, wasn't it?
Well, because obviously shut down in COVID, wasn't it, as well? So you had that kind of a double whammy with being shut and
then when they reopened it, they hadn't finished the works. No. So they shut it to renovate it. And when we went there back there, it was still scaffolding everywhere. And
who wants to go to that?
But they put this plastic coating on the stage. Oh. As soon as you went on there was a bit of rain, everyone was like, woof.
Oh, really?
I just don't know.
Why would you do that next to the sea and that as well?
I don't know. The reason we don't do it, I have remembered since, is the last time we did it, there was someone else, I think, in charge of the bookings and whatever. Right. So the person that I'd always dealt with had left. And the new person was like, "Oh, your ticket sales were really low last time." And I was trying to explain to her, "Yeah, but you wanted to cancel it because it was absolutely chucking it down.
Yeah.
And because we were there and PA was set up, we went, well, we might as well go for it.
Yeah.
Something comes better than no income and cancelling it. I couldn't get that through with the person. So we don't play it anymore. Who knows? Maybe one day. Maybe one day we'll get there. So on the same scale of question, worst gig.
Oh, you're opening up a can.
There's a lot of gigs in 9 years, man, and we've really played in the last 9 years.
Yeah.
But worst gig or worst set.
Well, obviously,
it's
going to be one of the. I don't know whether we should name them.
No, but that set.
There's a set, that we did at Skegness that just went so.
Oh, fuck it, let's name it.
Go
she named us and she shouted all over social media about us.
I'm not going to say her name.
Go ahead, say it.
We did. Yeah, in fairness.
He doesn't care at
no,
all.
I do care. And do you know what? It was Ruby Andrews. Okay, we did a set with Ruby Andrews at the Northern Soul Survivors weekend, and she did slate us big time after, and it did go horribly wrong.
Really?
It was like the worst time I've ever had on stage, and I just didn't want to be there. I just wanted the stage to open up, the drums to go down on the drum liner, and the stage to close up, and then walk away and have a beer.
We're done, yeah.
It was like,
wow, what was so bad about it?
In fairness to her, what happened was, got to remember, a lot of these artists are getting older.
Mm-hmm.
Right, they haven't performed for quite a few years.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of confidence,
which is fair,
as well. But what happened is she turned up to rehearsals, and she thought she had like the whole afternoon for rehearsals. Now this is where we're wrong. Right?
An hour.
Yeah. You only get an hour, and literally because, as we said earlier, we're in rehearsals all day, Thursday and Friday. You get like an hour slot. When you've been in mind that most of their sets were 45 minutes, you've only got 15 minutes. If anything's not right, to get it right.
Yeah.
Right. So you kind of got
You're
to get
on
through
the clock, yeah.
And she'd sent us no music scores. Right. They just sent me the tracks
Right.
Okay, and then I'd questioned what the keys were beforehand, and I was told I would just learn them all in the original keys. I won't say told us that, but we got told to learn them all in the original keys and learn to the recordings.
Right.
So, as always, we go back to the original recordings and learn it from the original recordings.
Yeah. Fair.
Unless directed otherwise.
Yeah.
Unless we're told otherwise.
Right,
Well, when she turned up, she thought she had a whole afternoon rehearsals. Right, we got
Whole
an hour.
afternoon to an hour.
None of the tracks were in the same key because she hadn't sung for years. Right, and then she kept going about all the arrangements are different to her live performances. That's because we copied the record.
Yeah.
Right, that's where we are.
Yeah.
That's what we've done.
Which
You
was
know?
the direction.
So it was a bit of a disaster. It kind of kicked off, and I think what happened then in rehearsals, she went into a panic. Right, which made it even worse.
Right.
We had to get an extra rehearsal in. Right, so everyone. Butley's was doing their nut backstage because we went like, we have to get another rehearsal in. Like, There's just no way. Right, and she was insisting on it. So we got another rehearsal in, and what she did is she thought about it, which is great, and she turned up, to rehearsal quite positive, which was brilliant. And she told us that when she does this, we need to do blah blah, and when she goes like this, we need to, and gave us all his house. Me,
Yeah.
fantastic. The
Sweet.
sign language going on here.
Yeah,
I'm happy with this.
yeah.
Right, we're going to win this set. Except she didn't. She just moved her arms around all over the place when we were on stage.
Yeah.
And didn't do any of the instructions that she said she was going to do.
So you're there looking for the cues and.
And we were like, we're bollocks.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that happened with it as well is that obviously a lot of the time these are songs that, some of the songs we might know already or be very familiar with. Other songs we're just coming into and we're learning and when you are accompanying a vocalist singing a song and everything, and you don't know the song like the back of your hand, you do want them to get it right.
Yeah.
Right, and you want them to sing, and if they decide that they're not going to sing, so you can very quickly get lost into the weeds. She's like, well, I don't know where we are now because she hasn't sung when I was expecting her to sing, or and so it did go.
Well, yeah, because if you're making it like very bespoke for this performance, you need to have an understanding of the bass layer to actually go from there. Yeah.
So it did go pretty wrong.
Yeah. And on the one song, we got to her biggest Northern Soul song,
Right.
Loving You.
This is
We got
during
to
the
that.
performance.
Yeah. We got to that on the set list, and I was like, at least we'll be alright on this one.
Yeah.
Because we know this one, right? We were comfortable with this one. So I was like, right, at least we'll be alright this one. And Mooty started, because she changed the key.
Oh,
He got
no.
confused and started in the wrong key. He started in the original key that we'd been learning at him beforehand.
Yeah.
Because she changed the key like that day, Mooty just forgot, which is one of those things. But so there's me thinking, we'll be alright on this one. She must know this one. Like, we know this one. This will be fine. And then we started, and then everyone was looking at each other in a panic. And it was only like literally, I would say 4 or 5 bars, and Mooty would like realising he got into the right key.
Yeah.
But it threw her right out as well. So even Just Loving You went completely tits up as well.
Mate.
Yeah.
So it wasn't good. And we cut the numbers short. Russ come on and cut it.
Really?
It was
just not going that well at all.
I mean, I heard a story that Ian Levine was the one that pushed her forward. And don't get me wrong, Ruby Andrews, she's one of my favourite artists. So I was really looking forward to this set that we were going to perform with Ruby Andrews. And it turned out to be the biggest nightmare of my life.
Mate.
But apparently Ian Levine was sitting in the audience. He was one of the artists he'd got over.
Yeah.
And he was sitting there going, she's awful, get her on the stage.
Oh,
It was the biggest.
How old would she have been at this stage, though?
They're all in their 70s, I suppose, aren't they?
Yeah.
She would have been in their 70s.
But, it was Butley's fault, really. It was all the communication beforehand that hadn't been sorted out properly. If she'd had what she wanted, a full afternoon rehearsal, it would have been a different story. Which is what, in her defence,
that's what she was expecting.
that's what she thought, and it's what she needed as well,
Yeah.
And it would have been different. But she went to social media and she completely slated us off.
Oh, what?
Oh,
what, the
massive.
band?
Yeah, like really
Piece
badly.
of shit band, I think, was one of her terms.
Yeah, she blamed it all on us and absolutely took to social media on us big time.
Did people follow suit? Like, did people jump on the bandwagon?
A little bit.
yeah. Although again, lots of people who were in the audience came to our defence, didn't they? And they said that, well, that's not what we saw.
Yeah, it was like a 50-50 split, but that kind of made for us. It was our first opening set, and to make it worse, we'd had Angelo Starr on the team on before us.
Yeah,
who'd absolutely smashed the opening set, and then we went on and went, and then we had to get up Saturday afternoon and go,
let's do it all over again.
Our weekend of this. So it was kind of like, I think it kind of, for me, it kind of thought, oh, we fucking smashed the rest of the weekends. Seeing what was coming out on social media about us, I thought we knew it really smashed the rest of the weekends, which we did. You know, it was a great weekend. But yeah, it was the worst moment. The worst moment for me in my entire playing days. Yeah. I've never wanted to be off the stage so much as I wanted to be off it. I just wanted to cry and just disappear.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to my next question.
Then. Okay, go on then.
So, and I think this would be a hard one to answer as well. We've worked with an enormous amount of artists. Favourite artist?
Ooh. Okay. That's a really, really hard one to answer because there's stuff that with different people that's different, right? I suppose if you wanted to condense it down to, you know, the most impact with the least amount of interactions, got to be Nolan. Yeah. Nolan Porter. He just got to everybody, you know, really quickly, and we all just loved him straight away, you know, and he was brilliant. But others, other guys, like people like Dean, people like Tommy, we worked with a lot, didn't we, over the years? And
Tommy,
Tom,
so many gigs with Tommy Hunt. It breaks my heart when I see all these arguments that are coming out at the moment. I don't know if you've seen any of them. So there's, you know, people that don't realise Tommy Hunt passed a short while ago, 92 years old, amazing guy. I mean, I had a very personal relationship with Tommy, spent a lot of time with him. Hadn't spoken to him for the last couple of years because he's a stubborn, ignorant bastard. But that's, you know, Tommy Hunt. But you have to know Tommy really well to really understand him. And there's a lot of people that think they know Tommy really well, but actually
don't have a clue.
Know, Tommy was a great person for liking everybody, you know, and he did. He loved it. And fans, I've never known a guy that is so in love with his fan base and would do everything, you know, just everything for his fans. But he's passing. You know, the reality of all these stories that are coming out on social media about he was wealthy and he didn't have a pot of piss in. Like, I can tell you that now. I've dealt with his royalties for the last few years. I can tell you now. Right, something up, he might have a pot of piss in. And when he did get something in his pot, right, he should just fucking blow it.
He spunked it, yeah.
He spunk it. Still in 92, we'd go out and buy stuff for women, this, that, and the others, right? He just had no understanding of money. And just no care about
Stay
money.
true to full.
He just fucking blow it.
Yeah.
Right? It was me constantly trying to get him to put some money away, and Tommy go buy a new 3-piece suite, right? Or a new shirt, or a new suit, or like he was like it. You know, he just was. You know, that's just the way he was. But he did have a pot of piss in, and there's been some. I won't go too much detail because I am in the background talking to quite a lot of the people that are trying to sort things out. You know, I'm not directly involved with it, but I am involved with it. But basically, he's never close to his family. He wasn't a good dad, to be fair. But his kids don't want anything to do with it. And no one's arranged a funeral. And so other people are trying to arrange the funeral. And what they've done is they've put a GoFundMe out to try and raise money because he hasn't got any money. I can tell you now, there's 3 royalty checks waiting to come in, all right, which for a little sum, and they're on their way, but he hasn't got any money.
That's it,
all right? So it's going to have to be funded. Basically that. So good people that have got his interest and wanting to have a good send-off, as he deserves, are trying to raise some money. I think the fee they went in with at the start might have been a bit too heavy, if I'm honest with you. I think they've made a mistake there, which they've now reduced it down. But they wanted to give him a good send-off, and they're fully expecting if they give him the right send-off, there's going to be a lot of people there, which is going to cost a lot of money. You know, just to even have a wake afterwards, you know, and everyone having a drink or whatever else. It
costs money, yeah, it does.
So, but you know, it started all these accusations now. A lot of people online saying that the people trying to raise the money for his funeral was trying to scam him, and it's because his ex-wife's involved, basically. And I can tell you now, Mandy Littlewood, his ex-wife, might be his ex-missus, well, they weren't actually married, but his ex-missus, she has always been in the background and always made sure someone's looking after Tommy, or Tommy's being looked after.
His best interest.
His best interest, you know. And Tommy was a great guy, you know. He's just a funny guy. You know, I don't want to go into it too much, but you know, from what I can see and what I know, and the involvement I've had with Tommy over the last 10 years, there's no scamming. You know, there's good people trying to give him a good send-off because the family are not interested.
Well, I know.
You know? The family just want to have a cremation, not bothered about anything else.
Really?
His soul friends and his soul family want to have a big event to celebrate his life.
Someone that important can't just have that little sort of fob off cremation. He's too big to the scene.
Yeah, I could do a whole podcast on Tommy Hunt, but maybe we should.
I think we should.
If it keeps escalating like it is, maybe we should. Because I spent a lot of time with Tommy Hunt. I sorted all his royalties out for him. I did a lot of running around for him, which he never bloody thanked me for or gave me a penny off. That's another story. That's Tommy Hunt. But at the same time, I loved him dearly. He was a real proper nice guy. Frustrating, stubborn bastard. But at the same time, a lovely guy. So Tommy to me was a favourite artist. But Nolan Porter, going back to what you said, Nolan Porter, he touched us all in a really unique, magical, special way. And the story I always use about Nolan, actually, I think he influenced all of us. And I really think as a band, it was a turning point for us. Something happened when we played with Nolan, musically as well. I think Mooty just joined, and it was all still, the sort of the new format of Mooty and everything else. But I always feel that once Nolan Porter played with us, we become a proper soul band. Right. It just sounded different. Everything seemed to just, I don't know, it just seemed to change. And I just think our level of playing and everything just seemed to jump a level, which put us on to where we are now. Before, I look back at some of the early recordings and I've got all this, I get all the slating we had in the early days, we were shit, but we kept saying we were good, and we kept on going, like as any band should. You keep on going, you get better and you build your fan base and
exactly.
more. But I always say with Nolan Porter, there was something happened then that switched us into a different gear, and it's since then that I think we've been taken more seriously and things progressed. Heartbroken when he passed away, and I think the best description to give of this was our sound guy Griff, who's still with us now. We took Griff to Mallorca with us.
Oh wow!
Right, now we'd only just met Griff. We didn't really know him that well. Right? We didn't know him that well. We'd only just started doing some sound with us. Seemed alright. Seemed to know what he was doing. Had some decent gear. It was fairly cheap. So we thought,
sweet, match made in heaven.
So we invited him to come over to Mallorca with us, where Nolan was. Now at the time, and I know he won't mind me saying this, Griff was a bitter, angry fucking man. Right? Just split up with his girlfriend. He was proper in just been fucked over by my girlfriend. Wow. Right? Really depressive, and I'm angry about it. Yeah. And life's shit, and all these people having a good time, and I'm miserable as fuck, and I've got an angry chip on my shoulder. Right? And he says himself, he went for a conversation after the gig. He went down to the beach with Nolan, because we used to go down on the beach with Nolan and have a joy with him. Well, not everyone of us, but some of us. Anyway, Griff went down on his own and basically sat there having a conversation with Nolan. And Nolan Porter influenced him that much. He says, and this is his own words, Griff always says, from that moment on, his life became better.
Really?
Okay? Griff's now the happiest man in the world. He's met a new person. He's had a baby a couple of years ago, and his life and he always says, from that moment, that conversation with Nolan Porter, he got so influenced by what he said that his life's gone in a completely different direction.
Oh, fair play!
What a lovely thing!
I know. Well, shout out Nolan Porter. Rest in peace.
That is the sort of person he was. He had he was just such a nice guy, wasn't he? He was just such a positive, lovely guy. He was really, really.
Well, bearing in mind, when did you first meet him?
2019. No.
2019. Yeah, it was 2019.
6 years. That's not a long time in the grand scheme of things for someone to have that much influence.
Yeah, but what happens, and this is the real going thing about it, is we did 2019 with him, alright? He was going to come back in 2020.
COVID happened.
COVID hit. We couldn't do it. He was then going to come back in 2021. Okay, but we didn't get going till June. Alright, so it was too late to arrange a tour. I think he passed away. And he was up for coming back every year with us. He was he had such a good time with us, Bear in mind, he played with the Stone Foundation, and he was good friends with everyone else. We had a brilliant time with him, And I was really looking forward to it. I was thinking, a yearly tour with Nolan Porter for a couple of weeks. I'm up for that. I'll arrange that all day long. And I really felt at that time that I thought this is going to jump us into a different league, if we have Nolan Porter every year. Something we can really, really build on. And I think Nolan felt the same as well, because he had a great time with us, and we were all talking about the future years and this, that, and there wasn't any, and that's a real gutter. That's two things that I could really kick for COVID. One was the fact that we never got to play with Nolan Porter again, and two was the fact that we didn't get to see Sharon's dad, before he passed properly because of COVID and what else. So that's my two regrets from COVID and such. But
that is
he was such a great guy, wasn't he?
He was, and I remember after he passed away, Patrice got in touch with all of us, didn't she?
Yeah.
And she was going to do a book. This is his wife.
Right.
And she was going to do a book, and she wanted quotes from people, reminiscences and that.
Cool.
And my one was all about how he was at the gig. The fact that because where we were playing was a fair old walk from where we were staying. We'd laid a car on to take him back to the hotel, right? And so after the gig, and so we're going, and I thought, who was it? Who was actually doing the sort of hospitality thing on the team?
From the culture, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it was like, the cars, and Nolan turns to us, and we're sort of packing away. And he goes, well, what are you guys doing? He said, well, we're going to walk down into town, get some food. Walk back to the hotel and he goes, well, I'll come with you guys.
It's funny you mention that because Oscar and Eduardo and from the Conscious Soul, and they were our kind of partners in the weekend at Mallorca, and they were all made up that Nolan Porter was staying at the hotel, as they should have been. But yeah, they put on all these cars and they were already. Oh no, we drive Nolan up and we drive this. You went.
Wow.
We used to walk up after the show. We used to go up to we used to go to this hot dog store because you couldn't get a burger or anything in Mallorca. It's not a late night burger joint. It's just simply
hard
there.
to come by.
But there was this like German hot dog place, and we used to leave the venue. We used to go down to the go down to the beach and we'd all smoke a joint with him.
Yeah.
And then, me, Pete, and the ones of us that smoked a joint. We used to have a joint with him. Then we used to all go out to the hot dog German sausage thing.
Yeah.
Stand out there and talk to some people. We all go back to the hotel.
Right, it sounds ideal. It sounds bliss.
It was great. It was just such a great time.
That's crazy that he's like so down to earth though. Like that
They all are, but you say he's down to earth. What you've got to remember about a lot of these artists. Over in America, Nolan Porter's not known for as a musician at all. It's only on the Northern Soul scene. That's why they're so grateful when they come over here. That they're like, he's not used to this. It used to blow him away, didn't it? I mean, there's a guy. Steph tells his story on stage. A guy came up to Nolan Porter, and he had "If I Could Only Be Sure" or something tattooed on his arm.
Oh really?
Fucking days, Nolan get walking around. I can't believe that guy had it on his forearm, on his arm.
Wow.
It's probably the most. The story that you hear the most with all of them. With Dean has the same one, wasn't it? Same in that he records "I'm on my way" and forgets about it, and they have no idea. They come over when Toby Legend came over, and she goes to us. She says to us, "Oh, what do I do if I can't remember the words?" And time will pass you by, and we all said, if you can't remember the words, there'll be 4,000 soulies out there who know all of them. Really? Yep.
Yeah,
wow.
And it was true.
That's so humble though, really, isn't it?
No idea.
It's just Nolan had led a normal life in he had. It's like someone coming in the studio and recording a song. Okay, in Essex, recording a song.
Yeah.
All right. They release it. It flops. Nothing happens. All right.
Yeah.
So they get on with going to become a. Whatever he did, I can't remember what he did actually. I think it was in mental health or something like that. It was in, but whatever. Go and get another career.
Yeah.
All right. Having another career, and then finding out that someone in America, this scene in America, had found his song, that he recorded in here, and we're all fucking raving about it, and and they're all dancing to it, and
I bet that must be so weird.
Yeah,
I'm famous, but not here.
You're still known as being Brian the Welder, whereas in America you can be like,
royalty.
Brian the artist, and that's what I find. When I come over here, it's like Sid. Sid had a career in. He was a security guard.
No way.
He was a security guard in the film industry, so he used to still meet a lot of people and whatever.
Yeah.
He ended up as a security guard. But when he comes over here, he's Sydney Barnes.
Yeah.